grew up enjoying cartoons as little kids, and in our toddler years, a lot of cartoons try to teach us some good lessons. And in today's video, I'd like to theorize and talk about a cartoon that originated as a book series from 1954, a simple little one that we all grew up on at some point, and that's, of course, Little Bear. So what we're going to do today, guys, is we're going to look at a timeline, go back and look at the history, and I want to kind of look at and theorize a few things that seem to be a little weird with this show in relations to a whole nother show that we're going to get into today. What we're going to start with is branching out a little bit, right? We'll start with the beginning of the timeline because in 1954, we of course see the release of the Little Bear book series, a children's book series that of course helped get young readers, of course, educated, toddlers and our youths. And then of course, come around to 1984, we have the release of the first ever Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book series. That's right, the Heroes in a Half Shell got their start back in the 80s, and you know what else? There's another little something that came out around that time that also correlates to everything. I know you're probably thinking, right, how do these correlate? Because in reality, right, they truly don't. But they do come together in a way that helps inspire something, well, new. That being said, time goes on, and 2 years later, we see the onset of a brand new turtle that walks upright like a human being, talks like a human being, speaks English primarily, and, well, likes to imbue nice little lessons to the youth. That, of course, is the introduction of the turtle that we've come to grow up with and help us kind of develop as youths, and that is, of course, Franklin the Turtle, debuting in 1986. So, of course, 2 years later in 86, you get this new turtle in Franklin, 2 years after the TMNT had just released. And you know what's even crazier, right? This walking, talking humanoid turtle has a best friend who, guess what? He's also a little bear. And, another crazy fact here, right? Another correlation, a string that connects these branches, if you would. You see, Franklin's best friend is a goose, who coincidentally reflects Little Bear's best friend, who, guess what? If it quacks, walks, and flies like a duck, it's a duck. Now, I did some deeper diving into this, deep dive like an ocean, saturation guy. And something I found out is the creator states that Franklin was inspired by an episode of MASH from back in 1977. Now, I find that kind of weird because, well, you look at everything and it's 2 years after the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles take off and they're getting big and famous. And of course, you've got Little Bear who's, getting his own fame, and all these correlations and connections that just seem a little too there. And I mean, when you think about it, Little Bear's been around for over 30 years at this point, before Franklin was even considered a book. And then, of course, we flash forward to 1995, those beautiful golden years, and Little Bear goes from being a book series to a TV show. And yet again, 2 years later, and even by the same animation team, guess who comes on our TV screens? None other than Franklin the Turtle. And let's be honest, right? It's pretty much the same show with just a bunch of different characters being meshed throughout. And if you look at Franklin's friend, Bear, and Little Bear himself from the TV show, you see that they look strikingly similar. And I theorize that they're just recycling animation. Now, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles' first animated series was being in production and put out around 87. And you gotta think, Franklin had come out just around 86. So this whole time this whole series is in production, you have the Franklin creator kind of just, pulling ideas, getting inspired by the TMNT crew, kind of getting the groundwork set for what's to come in the future. So is it really all too far-fetched to think that the creator of Franklin was inspired and had little seeds planted in her head by the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crew? I mean, come on. You're telling me that at the same time, two sets of characters who are walking, talking turtles just happen to appear? Just happen to want to teach us some life lessons? Sure, TMNT was aimed more at an older audience that wanted to inspire us to be brave and to face our fears, but come on, Franklin. We all know you're just a rip-off artist. You're a good one, but a rip-off artist. Or Even better yet, and better for your situation, do you happen to be that missing fifth brother that the turtles, are missing? The one that Splinter doesn't tell them about? Now, I would like to think that my theory carries a lot of weight to it. Because when you think about all the correlations and all the causations, it's kind of crazy to think. I mean, come on. There's no freaking way the lady who made Franklin didn't know about Little Bear. There's no way she didn't know about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because they were almost an immediate freaking hit as soon as they released as a comic. So there's no way this lady didn't hear about it. And you're trying to tell me that at the same time a group of talking, walking, humanoid turtles is going big, another talking, walking, humanoid turtle is going big at the same time as a little book series? And then you got to think when the cartoon series came out, it probably gave, Franklin's creator a good, base to work off of. And of course, when you think about it, Little Bear comes out as a TV show, Franklin comes out as a TV show, and you have two shows that are using basically the same animation renders, and you just got to think to yourself, are these guys just carbon copies? There's no way Franklin didn't see this coming. What the fuck is that? What the fuck?